today's confused society, many men find themselves searching for the meaning of manhood. That one thing that they recognize when they see it, that one thing that they get absorbed by when they interact with it, that one thing that seems to be so hard to define and put into words. What about you, friend? Have you struggled yourself with such a quest? Have you wondered what manhood is and why pursuing it should be a desired goal for your life? Do you know how to recognize true manhood while not being persuaded to look up to the false imitations of men that lurk around every corner, posing and pretending out of selfish self-interest? Remember that manhood is defined by the character of a man as he is ought to be. It is expressed by qualities such as truth, courage, conscience, freedom, self-assurance, self-control. Adding up to these fundamental aspects, elements such as gentleness, tenderness, compassion and modesty will round up the framework of what a true man should embody. Learn to observe the spirit of manhood in the world around you when it shows itself in the love of facing difficulties and overcoming them through the decision to calmly persevere in the face of challenging odds, never admitting the possibility of defeat. Recognize it in the men who enjoy hard struggles, who are delighted by stern labor, ready at any moment to make sacrifices, to suffer and to bear disasters patiently, generously giving themselves to a good cause that is not their own, devoting themselves to the general good of others while having no expectation of rewards. Notice true manhood in the men who are ready to defend unpopular truth, who stand by those who are wronged and who defend those that are weak. Men that never back down through good and bad, confident that the good must win in the end, holding strongly to the belief that truth must prevail and keeping the standard of a noble purpose in the world. But always remember, friend, that all good things in life have their share of counterfeits, and manhood is no exception. False manhood imitates these great qualities, although at its core it has none of them. Instead of strength of will, it is only willful in thoughts or on paper, but not in action. Instead of courage, it has arrogance and rudeness. True manhood pushes a man to do what is right, false manhood to do what he wants to do. Freedom to one means following his own convictions of truth, to the other means thinking as he pleases and acting as he likes. Learn to observe these conflicting ideas in the ones around you, friend, and in yourself as well. Make the right difference between men that are brave and men that are simply daring, between modesty and self-assertion. Take note of how one acts on his strengths and qualities in the world around him. A true man has respect for all. He is gentle to the ones in need and uses his strengths to maintain good customs, to improve his family and community, and to defend order. On the other hand, you have the one imagining that being manly means defying the law and going against everything. Such a man will go against the opinions of the wise, will mock his moral obligations, act in tyrannical ways to his inferiors, and will consider himself superior to all established principles of mankind. It is important to recognize the false notion of manhood, because if you do not, it will lead you astray. On your quest to become a mature man, you will search for role models or mentors. You will be attracted by many deceivers who pose into something that they are not, and you will be tempted to copy the vices of men rather than their virtues. It will be tempting to mistake rudeness for strength, disrespect for independence, and you might even fancy yourself as a hero when breaking the law and becoming mischievous. Out of your wish to become a strong and mature man, you will be seduced to become corrupted by the bad examples around you. Even though examples of false manhood are promoted more since they provide entertainment and consumption, keep in mind, friend, that in dire times, in the darkest hours, no matter how selfish mankind may seem, in these moments that will push men's souls to their limits, you will notice that true manhood is not dead, nor has it disappeared. In these types of moments, false manhood crumbles, and the ones who are pretending will vanish in the face of trouble. These are the moments that will point out the real examples that you should look up to as a man. The firemen that rush into a flaming house to save women and children, regardless of the cost on their lives. The rescuers that take their lives in their hands to save their fellow men from a wreck, not because they are friends or relatives, but because they are fellow men. Even though such extreme examples are rare in everyday life, courage is more than just readiness to encounter danger and death, and you can observe it in ordinary circumstances as well. Look up to men that exercise courage in everyday life, men that do not shrink from any duty just because it is difficult, men who speak what they believe even when their opinion is unpopular, men who are not afraid of ridicule when they know they are right, men which are not slaves of habits or fools of passion. Keep in mind, friend, that courage does not seek display, and many men that are courageous are often silent rather than loud, modest rather than cocky, but their actions will speak louder than any well-crafted statement. Such men of resolution will be unpretending, holding strong to their convictions and principles, whether others have ears to hear them or not. If you wish to be a man, remember that truthfulness is another element that you must value, an element that is often masked through lies and deceit by men who are afraid to stand by their convictions because they shrink in front of opposition. Look up to men who live by firm principles of truth and fairness, who deceive no one, who have nothing to hide, rather than those men who are arrogant in their speech but have no true courage in their hearts. For their manhood is only a pretense, an empty shell with no real firmness behind it. Take note, friend, of the fact that true manhood is tender and loving as well, while its opposite is cold and cynical. The bravest and most heroic men are usually the most loving. Bold as lions in the defense of the right, such men are gentle in their home and in their private life. By simply observing one's attitude towards the woman that he shares his life with, you can differentiate between a true man and a self-absorbed, selfish prick in search of appreciation and adoration. A true man wishes to defend her rights, to support her claims and to be her advocate, while a pretender will wish to show his superiority by treating her as inferior, flattering her but not respecting her, wishing to keep her confined through subtle barriers of opinion and prejudice. Appreciate the man who holds out his hand to the woman that he loves, who pushes her to do the best of whatever she is driven to do, who respects her womanly purity, sympathy and grace of heart. Do not be fooled by the selfish narrative of the unfeeling alpha male labeling that seems to be so popular nowadays, and challenge the status quo of your time by being able to differentiate between true manhood and the rest of the ideas of what a man's framework should be. On your quest of becoming a well-rounded, mature man, pay attention, friend, to the ones you allow to have an influence on you. Judge their actions to the highest standards and do not be misled by powerful words that remain noises in a room without being backed by any deeds. The man that you will become will be highly impacted by your ability to recognize true manhood from a crowd of pretenders. Form your character by looking up to the right men and never allow yourself to be deceived by imitations. In a world seduced by titles, ranks and selfish pursuits, will you be able to recognize true manhood? Will you be daring enough to embody it yourself? Will you be kind enough to share it with others? Your answers to these questions will have a far greater impact on the world around you than you would expect.